Folks, what you're about to hear isn't just politics. It's not only about trade wars or tariffs. It's about power, raw, unfiltered power, and the fight over who gets to control it. The stage, the whole world of players, Donald Trump, America's Supreme Court, and nations like India, China, and Russia. Now let's start with Trump. He wanted to stand on the world stage and say America was still number one. So he pulled out something called emergency powers and slapped big tariffs on countries like India and China. To Trump, that was strength, a way of telling the world America could bend anyone to its will. But here's the thing. Inside our own country, the Supreme Court stepped in. Judges ask, are these tariffs even legal? Does a president really get to weaponize emergency powers like that? Imagine it, Trump trying to dominate the world, but suddenly trapped by America's own laws. If the court rules against him, everything could vanish in an instant. The tariffs, the so-called trade war, it could all crumble like a house of cards. And while that legal fight keeps burning, another question won't go away. Why didn't Trump ever take a hard line against Russia? He went after China, he went after India. But Russia, silence, holding back, some say weakness. Reports from BBC and others whispered something disturbing, that Russia might have compromising material on Trump. Dark secrets, maybe even a video. And if that's true, folks, it explains a lot why Trump never stood up to Moscow, why his sanctions were weak, why his words about Russia were soft when his words about others were sharp. But the world doesn't freeze in place. While Trump tried to bend others, India and China stood tall. They refused to be bullied. Trump wanted a one-way street where America could impose tariffs freely, but no one else dared to answer. But India and China said loud and clear, those days are done. Because here's the deal. The world isn't unipolar anymore. For decades, America acted like the sole superpower, handing down terms to everyone. But that era is over. We live in a multipolar world now. A world where India has a strong voice, where China is rising fast, where Russia defies, where Europe makes its own calls. America can't command through fear anymore. And that's what scares Washington the most. Not just tariffs, not just the Supreme Court, but the realization that America's old dominance is slipping through its fingers. So take a step back and look at the bigger picture. What we're seeing isn't just politics, it's history. An empire's grip loosening, new centers of power emerging. Trump may rage, he may shout. But here's the truth, the fear of America's one-sided power is gone. This is a turning point. The fall of unchecked authority, the rise of equality. And folks, this is only the beginning. Friends, history teaches us something plain. No empire lasts forever. The Romans thought they'd stand forever. The British thought the sun would never set on them. And America too believed it would remain untouchable. But now the cracks are showing, the world is watching. Trump may shout at a podium declaring America supreme. But beyond those walls, the reality is different. Nations no longer bow their heads. They look America in the eye and say, we are equals now. India, once called developing, now has the technology, the economy, and the courage to stand tall. China, once mocked as a copycat, is now shaping the future with innovation, AI infrastructure, and trade. Russia, written off as broken, still has the military might America can't ignore. This is the moment the tables turn, not because one man willed it, not because one nation wished it, but because history itself demanded it. And here's the truth Washington struggles to face. The fear is gone. The fear of American sanctions, the fear of American tariffs, the fear of American threats. Gone. In its place, there's courage. Courage in New Delhi, courage in Beijing, courage in Moscow, courage in capitals that once whispered and now speak with confidence. So when you see Trump fighting the Supreme Court or staying silent on Russia or hammering India and China, don't see them as random events. See them for what they are. The struggle of a fading empire, desperate to hold on while the world steps into a new age. Folks, we're not just bystanders to this. We're living it. The headlines you read, the speeches you hear, the policies you watch, they're all pieces of a bigger story, the decline of one power, the rise of many. And someday when people ask, when did the world truly change? The answer will be right here, right now. Because this isn't just the end of an era. It's the beginning of something new. Folks, let's not kid ourselves. This moment is bigger than any one leader. It's about the institutions, the nations, and the people who refuse to be sidelined. Look, for decades, America set the rules. We wrote the playbook. But today, the playbook is being rewritten by India, by China, by Russia, by every nation that's saying we have a voice too, and we're not afraid to use it. And here's something important. This isn't chaos. This is opportunity. It's a chance for America to lead differently, to lead with partnership, not intimidation, to lead with respect, not fear, because the world watches, and trust me, the world notices when we act responsibly. or when we stumble. Trump may have tried to bend the world to his will, but history doesn't bend. History moves, and right now it's moving toward balance, toward multipolarity, toward a planet where no single country can dominate without accountability. Folks, we've got to understand this. It's not about weakness, it's about reality. The days of unilateral power, of flexing muscles and hoping everyone caves are behind us. And the sooner Washington accepts that, the sooner we can work with allies, not against them. And here's the bottom line: change isn't coming. It's here. And it's up to us, every citizen, every leader, every institution, to navigate it wisely, because the stakes are high. The world's eyes are on us. And the choices we make now will echo for generations. So don't just watch history unfold, be part of shaping it. Stand for fairness, for partnership, for truth. Because this turning point isn't just about nations. It's about the values that define us, the courage to face change, the humility to admit limits, and the vision to build a world that's safer, fairer, and stronger for everyone. And friends, let me be clear, this is not a moment for fear, it's a moment for leadership, thoughtful, steady, principled leadership. The kind of leadership that listens, learns, and lifts others up while keeping America strong. So when the headlines scream, when the debates rage, when the critics shout, remember this: history is bigger than politics, bigger than one man, bigger than tariffs or courts. It's about the arc of nations, the march of power, and the courage of people to shape a fairer world. Folks, we're living through one of those moments, and we have a choice to step up, to lead with wisdom, to meet history head on. That's what this moment demands. That's what our children will remember. And that's what we owe to ourselves and the world, because this isn't just a new chapter, it's the start of a new era. And together, if we have the courage and the vision, we can make it a better one.